Okay, so let's get started. This is the introduction part for my book, Overcoming ACT English, which is available on Amazon. If you just type in the title, Overcoming ACT English with by Sophia Garcia, you'll find it. Now, this tells you basically how to use my book, a little bit about my background, that sort of stuff. I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase. All the videos for this book will be uploaded by November 30th, 2023. Now let's go to the how to use this book portion. Now this is important. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to like every time that you're on a new chapter, in the directions it'll say like, hey, go look at the YouTube video for this chapter. So you go watch the YouTube video for that chapter that will be on a playlist titled Overcoming ACT English. And then in the video, it'll tell you, okay, these are the notes. This is like what these notes mean. I'll go through the examples and kind of give you like a brief lesson to learn the content. And then I'll direct you in the video to say, hey, pause the video now, try the quizzes, and then unpause the video if you need anything explained to you that you get wrong. So that's basically how this works. And then also I would recommend that you get the official ACT book, the big red one. I would recommend doing that. This can also help you. This book can also help people that are taking the SAT as well. I'm going to come out with like a specialized SAT version by February 2024. But if you need something earlier, this will be very helpful also to students studying for the SAT because they are very similar, especially with like the grammar stuff. So, yep, I would recommend getting like the official books and studying with this to learn the content first, and then go and practicing like things like your timing strategy and like the specific questions that are on the exam, that sort of thing, over and over again, and doing those corrections after you learn all the content in this book. So a little bit about the test. The ACT English test has 75 questions on that section of the test. This is just one of the sections, the English section, and you have 45 minutes to complete that. Now, I would recommend as a timing strategy doing 8.5 minutes per each passage and corresponding questions. So like every passage has 15 questions associated with it. So what I would do is take a minute to skim the passage. You're skimming, you don't have to worry about like truly understanding every single detail because it's not a reading test, it's more grammar based. You're just kind of getting the gist of whatever the passage is about by skimming it over, seeing if there's any sentences out of place, which we'll go over later, paragraphs out of place, that sort of thing. And then for the remaining 7.5 minutes, do the questions that correspond to that specific passage that you've just skimmed. And then when the 8.5 minute mark comes up, you head on to the next passage and you make sure that you've bubbled in everything for that specific passage. That's why I put here, never leave anything blank. Make sure that you bubble, even if you think you're going to come back to it, just bubble random stuff. Like if the time's up and you don't have time to strategically guess, just bubble random things, because that's better than you leaving it blank and potentially not being able to come back to it later because you misjudged your timing strategy and like you went over on another section or something like, or another, not section, another passage or something like that and didn't have time to come back. Then it's just blank and you're definitely not getting those points. Also, what I've seen happen sometimes is that students will throw off their entire bubble sheet if they don't do this, because they'll bubble something like maybe they'll bubble 1 and 2, but they skip 3, and then they're expecting to come back to it, but they'll accidentally put like the answer for 4 on bubble 3, and like it throws off their whole sheet. Just, it's a nightmare. You don't want to do that. You can always come back and erase stuff and change it. And then if you have extended time, use 13 minutes per passage and question set. And then just make sure you check the website and that you're actually like registered and have the photo ID that's required, and go over the test day checklist items and the registration deadlines, all that good stuff. Now, where to start when doing this book. So after everything I've just said, basically, I'm going to go over the disclaimer. Please stay for that because it's important. But after, you're going to go to page 8 and do the study plans. So for the disclaimer portion, I basically say that I know that you might be used to seeing some of these rules classified differently, or things might pop up, say like a verb tense thing pops up in like the diction chapter or something like that. I put like a couple extra things in there just to kind of like, because I thought it was a good opportunity to practice that extra skill just because there's like one question like that or something like every so often, it's still like each quiz is mostly about the skill. Each chapter quiz is mostly about the skill in that chapter. And then like I said before, I would always recommend using like a specialized resource to learn the content, like you're using this book to do right now, to learn all the like skills and rules and stuff, and then go and practice with the practice tests, like official practice tests. Go get the book for the SAT or the ACT, like the official one that they have with all those practice tests, and start doing those to practice. And then also I wanted to say, like, the passages in this book, like some of them provide factual information and stuff, but I didn't like check dates or anything like that. I was just going off of my memory. So I didn't feel like it was super important in the editing process to like check the exact date that like Genghis Khan died or anything like that. And like random stuff like that. So it's not entirely factual. Like, don't reference this for like citing historical events in history. It's mostly to practice grammar, so I didn't like focus on like those little itty bitty things. And then also I bolded instead of underlined certain portions on the exam. Like you'll see on the exams, like the SAT and the ACT, that they underline things, they don't bold them. I bolded them because I have no idea how they end up doing that underlining thing without making it go through the commas and the commas looking like periods. I tried all different kinds of stuff. I don't know what magic they use, but I couldn't figure it out. So pretend that anything that's bolded is underlined and we'll be good. And then you will see typos and grammatical errors in several passages. That's because just like on the real exam, it's not like you get a whole passage that's correct with one error. Like there's a bunch of grammatical errors within the passage. So even if I wasn't testing you on those grammatical errors, I still kept them in, because the way that I wrote this originally was that I had like quizzes for my prep students that had like a whole passage full of like a bunch of different errors. So I kept it like that, and I just tested you on the specific errors that correspond to that chapter, if that makes sense. So I know they're there, and there's a reason you're not being tested on them. It's because you're focusing just on the skills in that chapter. So I just wanted to let you know that that was intentional. And then this is my social media information. If you want any of that, I put a bunch of free resources up on my TPT storefront regularly. I put free and paid ones up. And then, so now go to the next video to see the study plans.